Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Aarion Scye here with me today. Is that how I pronounce your last name?
Yes, that is.
Okay. How you doing today, Aarion?
I'm good. How are you today, Cedric?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Ready to rock and roll. And let everybody know about the great work that you're doing today. Great because you make a choice each and every day to do what it is that you desire to do. And so I want to say hi to everybody who's tuned in out there, whether it be on Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire. I appreciate you. I deeply appreciate you. Aarion, where are you from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Okay,
Yeah.
what part of Cleveland, Ohio?
Currently I live in Cleveland Heights.
Okay.
But I was raised about 131st area.
Okay. What was it like for you growing up on 131st in Cleveland?
To be honest, I went to Catholic school. I started off at Catholic school, and about 10th grade, I ended up at John F. Kennedy, which was a completely different atmosphere that I was used to. So it opened my eyes up to different things that was going on, different things that people my age had going on in their homes or that they might have been struggling with that I didn't know because I wasn't used to that type of environment.
Sure. Talk to me a little bit about Catholic school. I see that Catholic school is an experience that a lot of people had, but for those people who never had that experience, that's almost like another world to them. You know, there are a lot of people
Yes.
who grew up in public school who see Catholic schools as a totally different world.
Yes.
So talk to me about Catholic school. What was that experience like? What did it look like? What did it feel like? What was going on there?
To be honest, it was a great experience because it was a lot of different opportunity that I seen once I got transferred to Kennedy. Just basically off of the different classes that they offered versus the classes that they offered in public school. The attention that they gave the students in the school, I can definitely see the difference. It's just a little bit sad that everybody doesn't get the opportunity to be able to afford Catholic school, to be able to have that opportunity that there is out there.
Wow. So you think that everybody should go to Catholic school at some point or at least see what it's like?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Did you play any sports there?
Yes, I actually played basketball, softball, ran track, cross country. I played a lot of sports.
Okay. And what were the academics like? What was it tough? Did you have a diverse experience? Talk to me about some of the projects that you did. And the reason why I want you to paint this picture for me is because I want people to really consider, evaluate what's happening in other schools outside of public schools. So really talk to me about the culture of the Catholic school you went to. Was it hard? Was it tough?
No, it really wasn't tough because, like I said, you had the difference that I noticed from public and Catholic school. First off top, the classrooms were way smaller, so there was a lot of attention given to the students, and you were able to focus on the students more. It wasn't more so hard because the teachers actually cared and helped you because a lot of the students play sports, and you had to have a certain grade point average to be able to play the sports. It was very diverse at the Catholic school that I went to. I went to Cleveland Central Catholic. So there were white kids, black kids, Asians, Puerto Ricans. It was very diverse, not segregated at all. Everyone was able to adapt because everyone had on the same uniform. We kind of looked alike. We just were different color skin.
Wow. Now, were there programs attached to Catholic school? I'm very very much into this aspect of our conversation because you kind of caught my attention with the difference
Okay.
in culture that you experienced in Catholic school. Chastity Curry's in the building. She says hello. Sierra Young is in the building. She says, hey, everyone. Kiana Williams says, hi, friend. And that she started out in Catholic school. And she says, what a difference.
Yes.
So I want to expound on this moment right here and think about as a community the fact that there are more options than just public school. You don't just
Absolutely.
have to go to public school. Aarion is saying that her experience at Catholic school was very robust. Now, were there programs in addition to just academics in sports? Like, were there like Girl Scouts or debate team? Talk to me about Catholic school.
We actually did have a debate team at our school.
Okay.
They had a debate team. We often went on field trips as a group. It was just real diverse because, like I said, they offer home economics, which taught us about simple things like doing laundry, cooking, or things like that we don't get a chance to learn at public school.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of attention is being drawn from different areas in public school, whereas in Catholic school, by you wearing the same uniform, it's not really much of a difference. You're not worried about what someone has on or what they're wearing to school today or what kind of car they're pulling up in. We were really like a tight-knit community. We just cared about each other and going to school. They often went to church a lot, so that was another aspect, religion that was brought upon us. I didn't see that much when I went to Kennedy. I didn't get that experience when I went to Kennedy.
Did you have to be Catholic to go to Catholic school?
No, not at all.
Oh, not at all. Like you didn't
No.
have to act like you were Catholic. You didn't have to.
Not so much act like, because some things, you had to participate in, like church or things like that, but you didn't have to. It wasn't like so much forced upon you.
Right. We have another guest in the building, Al Dees. He's a great man out in Michigan, and right now we're talking about Aarion's experience in Catholic school versus public school, and you actually got to see both sides of that fence because in high school you transferred into a public high school, and so we'll get there. But talk to me about your relationship with your mother and father when you were young. Let's say coming out of elementary school. What was your relationship like with your parents?
My parents were pretty good. My mom was a dental hygienist and my dad owned a barbershop. So a lot of the times they had us in sports just to keep us active and keep us going. My parents really taught me a lot about things that I know now as far as financing and credit and things like that. So I would say my parents really were hands-on with us.
So when you were a child, your parents were teaching you about credit, finance, and entrepreneurship?
Yes, basically, so from kindergarten all the way up until mid 10th grade, I went to Catholic school.
When did your parents teach you about entrepreneurship, credit, and finance?
I would say my dad started becoming a barber when I was about 3rd grade. So I synced a lot by coming up to his shop and experiencing a lot and being on the road with them. Just learning different things about, how business works and how becoming a business owner works as well.
Did you ever think when you were young, hey, when I get older, I'll be an entrepreneur myself. I'll get into business myself. Did you ever think of that?
I didn't, but it always intrigued me just to be my own boss. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're intrigued by business as well. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're inspired when you see somebody providing for themselves, for their family, and for their community comfortably. I'm also inspired by entrepreneurship, by business endeavors, and by success in business. I'm very much inspired by that. You guys drop a 1 in the chat if that's also an interest of yours. Now, Aarion, do you have siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes. I actually have 2 sisters.
Okay. So
That
there
are
were
younger.
3 girls. You're the oldest out of 3 girls.
Yes.
Okay. What was that like? What were those dynamics like? Let's talk about it.
They I can honestly say they were pretty rough because we all are a day apart.
Wow.
So,
A day.
a day, May 6th, May 7th, and May 8th.
So are y'all triplets or it just
No,
happened
we're
like
not
that?
triplets. It just happened like that. No triplets.
You know what? This is a great time to talk about just the divinity of our existence. Divine energy shows itself in childbirth, and if you look at your family, you'll notice patterns. You notice patterns by date. You notice patterns by some people have twins, some people have triplets, generationally. You know, and I just find great divinity in how you and your sisters were born one day at a time. I mean, one day apart from one another in different years.
Yes.
Now, did you all have like a group energy, a group synergy, like a group aura, if you will? Talk about that.
We did when we were growing up, just because all of our birthdays were all together all the time. We always were all together all the time. We bumped heads all the time. But now that we're older, we kind of like take our own different paths and found our
Mhm.
own different ways in life.
Yeah,
But like
and
you said, it's still kind of a pattern because it's all running back together, being the same person.
right, right. I kind of want to expound on this moment right here and talk about the group energy of our families. You know, clear across America. When we are born in sibling groups, or even if you're an only child, your relationship with your parents, that whole unit is a group energy that there are consequences to breaking that energy. So if you get displaced, if something happens, if you get put in foster care, if somebody gets incarcerated because they made the wrong decisions, or just as you get older and everybody just goes off and lives their own life, I think that there are consequences to breaking that synergy. You know what I mean?
Mm.
One of those consequences is that you I don't think you're ever as happy as you are when everybody's together. I don't know if we produce the same smile, if we produce the same happiness and the same energy when we're by ourselves. Does that sound in anything like right to you?
Yes, that absolutely makes sense. Cause even now with me and my sisters, we speak, but it's not as tight as we were, like you stated. And a lot of that is because it's been broken, and we've all found our different paths, or we all might not have liked what one another was doing or what one another was choosing in life.
We are meant to mingle. We are meant to connect, and we are meant to thrive on several accords. Everybody doesn't have to get on the same accord. Everybody doesn't have to get on the same exact wavelength. Guess what? There are numerous wavelengths out there, but the idea of us being together, it unlocks a certain happiness, if you ask me.
Yes.
You know, I think we can be reminded at this particular juncture inside of this hour on America's Next Motivator to appreciate your family. Get back together. Take a holiday, create a holiday, and get back together with your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, those people who became family along the way. Embrace them. Let us not get out here and become islands. Let us not get out here and be one person shows in our own right. Let's not do that. And then when I say let's not do that, I'm not saying normalize abusive relationships if somebody's not treating you right, or you and somebody's not getting along. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying remember the value of us together is much greater than the value of one of us by ourselves. We got a comment in the building. Let's see what. Okay, Al says family is the first team structure. Exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly. And then how does your quality of life change as you get older and maybe you are relying on somebody that you really don't know to be a member of your core team. You know, some of our biggest heartbreaks is by somebody who's they're not your family. Somebody told me once, listen, nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares about your life story. Nobody cares about where you've been, what you've been through. People care about right now and what you could do for them. And I wonder how our quality of life changes if we continue to make a way to work with our family. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. So now, what was middle school like for you, Aarion?
Middle school was fun for me. Not just simply because I went to a Catholic school, but I had a lot of friends in middle school that I'm still friends with now. And I went to a good middle school. Middle school was good.
What was happening in your life socially in middle school? Did you start going to the mall for once? You know,
I did go to the mall, but I played sports, so I was
okay.
always into sports when I was in middle school. So it was a lot of CYO. It was a lot of weekends. And then
What's
I started.
CYO? What's CYO?
That's what we called it in Catholic school. That's the league that they have. It was called CYO.
Okay. Okay. Now, as you transition into high school, you said you spent at least the first 1.5 years in that Catholic school, but then you transferred. So, talk to me about that moment when you transferred to a different school. What was that culture shock like for you?
It was the worst. I can be
Yeah.
honest. It was the worst. Because for me to transfer, it wasn't it was by my choice. So it was a mistake that I made. I got into a fight, which caused me to have to get removed from the school permanently. And as a result, my parents sent me to John F. Kennedy. Like I stated, it was very shocking, very awful. It was a bit rough to adjust to. It was just a bit rough to adjust to.
There are a lot of young adults transferring schools in high school, going through that culture shock, and sometimes having years of trauma to show for that transference. I want you to kind of break that experience open and talk to me. Like, what was your first day at John F. Kennedy like? What were you noticing? What was going on? What was so different? Why was it a big deal?
It was a big deal because when I went to Catholic school, only the kids that attended there went there. My first day at Kennedy, it was like 30 kids in one classroom. It was sick. I never we don't have security guards or real police inside of Catholic school. They have it there at Kennedy, so that was a different experience. Um, I can honestly say, just being in the hallways, being so clustered and not knowing where to go, it was just a big culture shock. You had kids that didn't even attend the school; they were in the building. It
Kids
was
that hold on. Kids that didn't go to the school were in the building. What do you mean by that?
because it was so many kids. The officers didn't know who went there, who didn't go there. When I went to Catholic school, it was kind of like like I said, we wore uniforms, so you knew by uniform if they were allowed to be in the building. Whereas at Kennedy, we were street clothes, so anybody you could walk in and say you were, a student of the school and went to a completely different school.
Did you sometimes feel unsafe in this public school, given the the lesser extent of security? Did you ever feel unsafe, especially like when you first got there?
Definitely, definitely. Just because I didn't know what I was experiencing because I hadn't experienced it before. So it kind of made me precautious of what to look for, what not to look for. If someone was over there arguing, if they were serious or if they were joking, it was a bit much.
You know, there are people who have never seen the hallways, the staircases, the overcrowded classrooms of public schools in urban America, like Cleveland, Ohio, what you're talking about. So I want to make this an opportunity for people to understand exactly what was going on at Kennedy High School. You're talking about John F. Kennedy High School in Cleveland, Ohio. We got some people who seem like they know what you're talking about. Chastity Curry says JFK was definitely a bit much. And Sierra Young says these are facts. So what was happening at JFK? I mean, were there fights? Were there drugs? You said there were officers. Were these police officers, security officers? What was happening?
They had a mixture of both. So you had some real police officers, you had truancy police officers, you had security guards of the school that were there all day. And I don't mean just like one or two. You had some on each floor. There were fights. There were raids. There was all type of things going on. There was,
Raids. Hold up, hold
yes,
up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Raids.
yes,
Like a raid in your high school?
yes.
Like what type of raid? What do you mean a raid in high school?
I remember they were having like a fire drill, and just a huge fight just broke out. You had parents who were getting into the fights because they were coming up to the school defending their children. It was just really bad that day.
Were there Chastity Curry says riots. You guys had riots too?
Yes, we had riots.
What was that like? How did that impact your ideas about the world around you? Just seeing what everybody else had been living like. Just imagine some of us have been in public school from elementary school to middle school to high school. These things were nothing new for a lot of
Right.
kids, but it was new to you. What did seeing those things happen at John F. Kennedy make you think about the world around you now that you were outside of the bubble of Catholic school?
It definitely opened my eyes to make me realize that a lot of the people or my peers were going through a lot emotionally. Some of them didn't know how to express their emotions. So little things like that we would just blow over at Catholic school, they wanted to fight about.
Mm,
Or like I stated, things like clothes didn't matter to me, but I'm sitting next to someone who's checking someone's whole outfit out, or just opening my eyes to different things and making me aware that there is really trauma going on outside of here and outside of Catholic school.
that's right. So in cities clear across America, like Aldi says, all over the country, conditioning our youth to be systematic animals. People live in alternate realities right in front of you. You could be going back and forth to Catholic schools and never realize the life of these young people who you see going to public schools. You have no idea the life that they're living. These Many of these young people, they experience the riots in middle school. They experience the riots in elementary school, the fights in elementary school, in middle school, the fashion show aspect, the bullying, the violence. You got to see it in high school, but I'm trying to consider the trauma that not only you were exposed to, but that so many other young people were exposed to, potentially for 10 years by the time you met them.
Yes.
You know, um, were there proficiency tests? Were there tests that you had to pass in order to graduate?
Yes, we actually had to take the OGT test. I would say we took that about 11th and 12th grade. You had to pass all 5 parts in order to graduate. I'm not sure if they had to take that in Catholic school, but I know when I started getting in high school up in age, they had those tests coming around. Yes.
Were those tests easy for you?
Some of the categories only because, and that was the benefit that I had because I had a chance to experience Catholic school. Some of these things that I were taught. Whereas when I went to Kennedy, like I stated in 10th grade, if some of these kids weren't learning or knew what I knew, I know that they were way behind what I had already knew. So
Mm-hmm.
simple math or simple English or simple science might have been extra hard for someone else who wasn't taught that or
Mm-hmm.
wasn't given that attention that I was given or wasn't given that attention at home once they left school.
I'm thinking about these individuals and how difficult it must have been to, let's say, pass all the different parts of these proficiency tests when your school is like a madhouse. I'm sure there were bells ringing. You might have had dogs in your hallways.
Yes.
People fighting, people disrupting the class. How can you master these subject areas and pass this test that's really impacting your future? That's what I'm thinking about right now. you know and thankfully, or thank God, no pun intended, that you were in Catholic school prior to that, so you had some knowledge prior to going to John F. Kennedy. But it seems like even you were able to see how even you kind of fell behind at least a little bit
Yes.
academically, having spent the last 2 years of your high school career there.
Yes.
What do you say to the high school kids clear across America who are going to school in a lion's den or eagle's nest right here in America, and they can use a word from you tonight? What do you say to them?
I would try to say find your focal point, find your focus, find your purpose in life, find what's important to you. School right now is temporary, so your environment is temporary. Try to block it out. Mine was sports. That was my outlet. Find the outlet. Find friends that are encouraging, find people that are positive, and just try to stick to what's best for you. It's easily to get influenced in an environment like that, especially if you haven't been around that. It could be easily to be peer pressure. But think about your lifetime commitment to yourself, what it would affect you in a lifetime.
What do you say to people who are adults now? All they knew was public schools. They graduated from John F. Kennedy, and maybe they still need some wisdom from you tonight. What do you say to your peers?
I would tell my peers the same as well. To me, finding your purpose and finding who you really are will just make your life better because you will be able to live who you truly are. You won't be influenced by those things that we had going on in high school, like fashion or, you know, people doing this or, drugs or anything like that. Find what's important to you, find your purpose, and live your purpose.
So much of our warrior class, the people who are built for battle, the people who know how to go out into the world and engage and fight physically, verbally, mentally, and spiritually for what they need are wrapped up in toxic systems such as public schools in America. And I want to remind you tonight, there's nothing wrong with you being a warrior. There's nothing wrong with you being a soldier. There's nothing wrong with you fighting, but don't fight the wrong fight. You have to fight the war for your soul. You have to remember, think, take conversations like these right here on America's Next Motivator and have the aha moment. I am somebody deeper than the riot that's going on outside. I am somebody deeper than the materialism that's making me want a new pair of sneakers and a new pair of earrings. I'm something bigger. I'm something better. And I need to get in the mirror and find it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Aarion Scye tonight, and we're having a very spirited conversation. I don't want you guys to go anywhere because we'll be right back with more from her right after this break. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. Hey, Aarion, how you feeling out there?
I'm good. How are you again?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So we're definitely moving right along here. We got a couple comments in the building.
Okay.
Aldi says, "Speak Queen." Chastity Curry says, "Success is a choice." So people are definitely feeling what you're saying tonight, and you're doing a great job. Now, as you graduated from high school, talk to me about the talent that still existed in those hallways, even though you all were having such a terrible a terrible experience, depending on how you look at it. Talk to me about the talent that was there, regardless of that.
I definitely seen a lot of talent. It were a lot of, even though it was a lot of things going on, they at this school seemed to really like sports a lot. So there were a lot
Mhm.
of basketball players. A lot of people came out for the basketball players, the cheerleaders, the football players. They were definitely into the sports when I went to the school. I definitely noticed that.
Okay. And what were your thoughts about your future as you graduated high school?
Well, actually, when I graduated high school, I actually went into the army. So, that was what I did when I graduated high school.
Okay. Now, what was that like? So you had a culture shock
Right.
right in the middle of high school. Did that kind of turn you down a corner that you never kind of corrected? Like, did you okay, now life is tough, so now I'm tough, so now I'm going to the service. Did it happen like that?
No, it didn't. I can be honest
Okay.
and say that once I got there with the culture shock, about a year or two after being there, I got caught up in the culture shock.
Okay.
And with checking my own self, I was approached by someone actually by my cousin to join. It was something that I thought about, because at that time I wanted some correcting for myself,
Hmm.
basically some structure. Um,
Hmm.
so I felt like the army was the next best choice. They paid for college. So it was kind of like join or just fall into what's going on out here in Cleveland.
This is huge. In this moment, you relate to so many thousands of people across America. You could have got sucked in to a bad lifestyle if you didn't make changes in your life. Talk about it.
Um, I noticed I was started hanging with people that I wasn't hanging with, that weren't positive in my life,
Mhm.
that didn't have positive things going on in their own life. And I started noticing a change in myself, not liking the change. The army was the next best outlet. Basketball was an outlet for me to not be into the things. I fell into them. The army was the next best outlet around it. It excluded myself because I was able to move out of state. So I was stationed in Fort Jackson. Was my first tour that I went to. So that's where I had basic training at. That definitely was another culture shock because I was around different people. I had someone yelling in my face. I had to be up at a certain time. It was definitely different things, but overall, it was a positive outlook for me because I knew that it was what I needed and I knew what I joined for.
I really appreciate the way that you noticed that your lifestyle was going in a certain direction and you needed to make sure that your life went into a better direction. And then you decided to go into the service. I know that's a choice that a lot more of us need to make. We need to make the choice to change the direction of our lives. Um, did you talk to your parents about going into the army? What were their thoughts about it?
I did. My mom was like, definitely not for it. Just because at the time it was a lot of things going on already with Iraq and different things like that.
Right.
And just I guess for her, it was probably a feeling of me being away as well. But like I told him, it was just something that I needed for me. It was more so structured that I needed.
Where did you get the courage to join the army? Were you just kind of built like that in the first place? Were you scared?
Um, I was scared, but I wasn't scared. Just because I had already had some kind of experience from my cousin from being there. He
Okay.
was the one that kind of like heavily influenced that I go.
Mhm.
Um, but I was scared because I knew I would be away from family and things like that, and it would be my first time experiencing that.
Mhm.
So I was scared in that aspect, but I was more so like just ready for the change.
Okay. So you went to the army, you made it through basic training, right?
Yes.
All right. And what job did you have after that?
I was started off as a 68 whiskey, which is a like medic. And then I went to 92 Alpha. So I went from Texas, and then I got stationed in Virginia, Fort Lee, Virginia. And being there was, it was kind of the same. It was just less structure. You didn't have to be up at a certain time. You did have school because it was your job training.
Mhm.
Um, but it was just less structure. But it was like it was the best experience I could ever recommend to anyone, honestly.
Chastity Curry says, I remember Aarion being in the Army. Thank you, Troop. Um, I also want to say thank you for your service. You know, everybody out there, if you're watching, go ahead and type that into the chat too. Thank you for your service. And so you didn't make a career out of being in the Army, did you?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
I got out. I did my 6 years and I got out. But like I said, I used that and I attended Lakeland Community College with that to be an EMT, and then I transferred to Tri-C for business. So I knew originally going in I didn't want to make a career out of it. I did enjoy it, but I had a purpose, and that
Mhm.
was just for college and to get structure. And now that I'm on my own, I am thankful for that.
Right. What would you say is the purpose for your life that you discovered? What's the purpose for your life?
I would say my purpose now. I have a nonprofit, so I feel like my purpose is to actually help people. I feel like that always been my purpose because people come to me about their problems and about their issues, and even though I'm going through my own different things, I still find ways to come up with reasons or explanations and ways to help other people.
Mhm. Um, Everybody out there, I want you to think about what your purpose is in life. You know, just think about it. You don't have to put anything in the chat, but just think about your purpose in your life and how are you engaging your purpose in your life? Are you finding a way to fulfill that purpose? You know, even if you need to go somewhere in the annexes of your mind and wipe the dust off your purpose and represent it, go ahead and do that. Were you able to find more happiness in your life as you pursued your purpose?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. For me, it wasn't even about how it made me feel, but seeing that I bring joy to other people has definitely let me know that I'm fulfilling my purpose in life. Definitely. Um, I also have people who tell me I inspire them, so that's definitely positive and good to hear to let me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Now you said you started a nonprofit, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of your nonprofit and what do you do with it?
It's called the Here Foundation, HERE. That's
Okay.
for helping everyone rise equally.
Wow. I like that a lot.
Thank you. Um,
There was a go ahead.
no, go ahead.
There was there was a poster that I used to see in my guidance counselor's office, and it said it had three kids on a stool, but the stool was the same size for each kid, but each kid was a different height. And only the tallest kid was able to see over the fence to see the baseball game on the other side. And it was saying that giving everybody the same size stool was equal, but giving everybody the type of the size stool that they need to actually see over the fence was fair. Talk to me about the difference between equality and fairness.
To me, equality is seeing. I learned this in the army. We don't see any color. So in the
Okay.
army, there isn't no black or white or Chinese. There isn't any of that. Everyone is
Mhm.
going to get treated the same.
Mhm.
Now, as far as being fair, you have where some people might bend the rules just a bit for this person or that
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Okay. In your organization, helping everyone rise equally, which I find to be a very powerful title for an organization. It sounds like a mission statement. It sounds like a culture. It sounds like you're doing the work. What have you been able to do with this nonprofit in the community?
We've done a lot of things. This past Christmas, we gave away 500 brand new toys.
Wow.
The Thanksgiving every year we go feed the homeless on Thanksgiving Day. We prepare the meals for them and pass them out. We've done hat and scarf drives. We've done field trips at the local homeless shelters, women and children's. We've done basketball games at the men's shelters as well.
Mhm.
Just a lot of different community things where we've done community cleanups, just different things where we trying to get everyone involved and to give back into so everyone can open their eyes on what's going on, not just in their home but in other people's homes as well.
How do you get to the work? I mean, there's a lot of people starting nonprofits. Not all of them are actually doing work, but you were actually able to get busy. How did you organize and gather people and then move people toward the causes that you desire?
To be honest, I use social media. It was something that me and my sister came up with, this nonprofit, and our first event we kind of used social media, used the friends that we already had to kind of support us, and we relied on them to give word of mouth of what we were doing. And from there, we just started building relationships with different people, different nonprofits, different organizations that all had the same mission that we did.
If people want to connect with you in Cleveland, they want to do some volunteer work, or get their young people involved or get involved themselves. How can they reach out in terms of the nonprofit?
We have an Instagram page. It's here underscore foundation.
Okay, on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
We have an email at herefoundation@yahoo.com.
Okay.
There,
And you feel fulfilled with that work? You feel happy about it? Talk to me. How does it feel when you give children 500 toys? How do you walk away feeling from an event like that?
that day was just, it started off bad because it was a snowstorm. So I
Mhm.
really honestly didn't expect anyone to show up. But before we even could open the doors and separate the toys, we had a line down the hall. So
Wow.
it made me feel good because not only were the people there supporting me, but they really needed us there.
Yeah,
Their
that's right.
kids really needed a Christmas. And even though we were just giving, we limited to one toy per child, we let kids walk out with two handsfuls of toys.
Right. That's phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get hearts and lights in the building, because she's right. Once you start providing a service, you start lending yourself to the community, your eyes will be open to the alternate reality that there are a lot of people who need what you're offering. How many kids out there literally didn't have a Christmas except for going to this here event and getting a toy? I mean, for some kids, that might have made their entire holiday, that they were able to go to an event and see the leadership receive a gift and walk away with that. You know, we have to we have to consider a life of service. We have to consider the value of service. It might not be the world to you. It might not be the greatest thing in the world to you, but for the person that you're serving, it could mean the world to them. You know. Now, did you ever branch off into other areas of entrepreneurship? Do you do other things outside the nonprofit?
Yes, I actually have a vending service, where I have vending machines, soda and snack vending machines.
Vending machines.
Yes.
Hold up. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, man. Blow the chat up, okay? Put those emojis in the chat, okay? Let's get some reactions in here tonight. She came through the adversity, through the change. Hey, listen, y'all. She saw those vending machines along the way, just like you saw them. Hey, we all saw those vending machines along the way. We thought to ourselves, man, if I can only get my own vending machine, I can make so much money. I don't have a vending machine yet, and I've always thought it was a great idea. Talk to me about that business. How has it treated you, and how have you treated it?
It's been a experience. Because when I first got into it, I started off with just quarter machines. It was
Okay.
just like you said, it was just something people always think of because you see them everywhere,
Right.
and you just think about the money that you're putting in there, so you can think about the money that you'll have if you own one.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was just random. I was just thinking about it, and it was just heavy on my mind. So one day I just found one, and it was actually a gumball machine.
Okay.
And I had told someone about it, and they were like, "A gumball machine." I was like, "Yeah." And even though it was quarters, my mind didn't allow me to think that small because I knew that it was going to make me happy because this was what I always wanted. So eventually, it would grow from that. So I started off with one gumball machine. The next day, I went and bought another one. So I had two
You
within
said the
2 days.
next day?
I went and bought another one.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. So what was it like when you put your first gumball machine up? Where did you put it? And it must have started clicking for you to say, I'm buying another one the next day. What happened?
I actually have put it in my brother's print shop. He has a
Okay.
t-shirt print shop, but there's a barber shop inside. There's a painter inside. There was a lot of traffic and a lot of people because they weren't used to seeing it. They jumped right on it instantly.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I want to get another one. The next one, I put it into a tattoo parlor.
Okay.
And I think it's like four artists in there, and they have parties on the weekend. Like he hosts different things in the building. So a lot of people were gravitating to it. So about like a year later, I was like, I'm going to read more into it. And I just jumped out and I went and bought a snack vending machine. I didn't do any research, didn't know nothing about it. And that was like the worst ever.
It was the
Um,
worst. What
it
happened?
was the worst ever. I like bought it overpriced once now that I did my research.
Okay.
I had to make two trips out there because I tried to move it myself and couldn't. Um, so it was like the worst ever. I got back to the drawing board, did some research. I reached out to a guy who owns over 20 vending machines. He gave me great advice. And I just started clicking on and linking to him and learning different ways about it. And from there, I went and bought two more. I went and bought a Coca-Cola machine, and I went and bought another snack vending machine. And I placed those at an office building that has like 30 different suites in there.
Mhm.
And just from there, I've been just trying to grow and build.
Now, when you place your vending machine in a facility, do you have to speak to the owner? How do you build that relationship?
Yeah, so I don't cut any corners. So I actually have a business proposal. I have
Mhm.
business cards. I have a company shirt that has my logo on there. But like you stated, I basically just approach them with it's free services that I'm offering for their company, in hopes that they would branch on, and everything would be left up to me. The installing, the stocking, and everything else would be left up to me.
Mhm. And now you're retrieving the money phone from the vending machines.
Yes.
Are there any other businesses that you got into? And listen, y'all, blow up the chat because I'm inspired. I'm proud of her. I'm happy for her. You are an example of making lemonade.
Thank you.
Out of what could have been lemons in your life. And it wasn't a fairy tale for you. You made deliberate decisions to get your life in a better position. I'm very, very, very happy for you tonight and inspired. Everybody, let's get these responses. Let's get these emojis into the chat. Is there anything else? You seem like the type of person who's always up to something. Is there anything else that you're involved in?
I also have a hot dog cart.
Whoa, whoa. A hot dog cart. Let's
Yeah.
go. Talk about it.
It's called Ari's Doghouse, so it's named
Okay.
after me, of course. And I don't know how I got into that. I just got inspired. I always wanted the hot dog cart. I buy from the hot dog carts, and I had an opportunity. It was a guy selling one. I drove all the way to Baltimore to pick it up. Um, Came back to Cleveland. I was so excited. It was like on the deal I couldn't pass up. Um, and I just started getting more into the research, finding more out about it. I reached out to a guy, and he actually rebuilt the cart for me. So I
Okay.
got it rebuilt. And it's just all stemming from me trying to be my own boss.
That's right.
But I still work full time as well. So
What? So
yeah.
hold on, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You not only did you give back, we talked about that first, but then you created the vending businesses, and then you got a cart and you said, listen, my cart's not going to be slanted like somebody else's rundown cart. I'm going to get it revamped. I'm going to get my cart perpendicular to the ground. And you are providing quality services on so many different fronts. Now, what type of hot dogs do you serve? Are they all natural? Like, what are you putting quality products out there?
Yes. So I don't serve. I have a saying. It's not your. It's called not your traditional hot dogs.
Okay.
So we have different toppings from coleslaw to macaroni and cheese, baked
Oh,
beans.
oh,
So we get pretty creative with our hot dog cart.
that is great. That is great. Now, so you thought I'm not going to be like everybody else, and I'm gonna put these different add-ons. I mean, is it a hit? Do people enjoy your hot dog stand?
Yes, they do. Yes,
Where can people find your hot dog stand if they just want to go out and support you this weekend? It's hot outside too. Where can people
it
support
is.
you?
Well, right now because we changed different times and locations, so we suggest that people add us on Instagram at ARRI'S_doghouse.
Okay.
And that's where we post our different locations and times of that day in our area.
So you just pop up.
Yes.
This is huge. You are on the wave. You are on the wave. You look at TV, you look at Netflix, you look at Hulu, there are food shows. They talk about food trucks, how people, they start off with a stand or they get a food
Yeah.
truck, they offer their own brand of food, and it's a hit because you know why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because a lot of people in these businesses, these barbershops, wherever, corporate, they work this place every day. They look out, they eat the same food every day. And you will be surprised to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars how many people want to come and try your food because it's different. People want something different. And so getting your food truck, getting your food cart, stepping out there, y'all, and providing services. People need them. People want them. People will patronize them. People invest. I feel I'm looking at somebody who is building generational wealth. What are your ideas about generational wealth?
That's definitely something that I push. Just because it creates different opportunity, and if you, like they say, if you know better, you do better.
That's
So
right.
when we were younger, we weren't taught those things, but now that we're older and we know them, we should definitely push them onto our upcoming generation about saving money and about credit and how important entrepreneurship
That's right.
is, how important being your own boss or succeeding. Not everyone can be their own boss,
Mhm.
but just having that opportunity to see what maybe you can do on your own.
That's
And you
right.
never know how far it can go.
That's right. I got three questions for you, and we're down to the final 20 seconds. You got 20
Okay.
seconds. This is the hot seat now. We got three questions. My first question: what is survival to you?
Survival to me is being able to every day, being able to accept what's going on, good or bad, and still keep it moving. Um, Being able to just adjust. So even in my own life, I had a lot of adjustments, but I took them to the chin and I just kept it moving.
What
If you
is what is success to you?
Success to me is waking up and knowing you have a purpose and being fulfilled in your purpose.
That's right.
Um, that truly lets you know that you're at your success and that you're at your peak when you're happy at what you're doing.
What is greatness to you?
Greatness probably would be defined as not giving up, not quitting, just not holding back, just giving everything your all without a second thought, just going hard at everything you do and just pushing and motivate yourself.
Aarion Scye, I want to let you know that we've listened to your story today. I love the way that you took in life and you add value to your community. We're giving you your respect while you're here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis into the chat because we're giving you a crown today while you're still alive to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Aarion Scye, you are America's next motivator.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got crowns coming into the building. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Thank you so much, Sergio. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to you later. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you got to do is stop by and pick it up.